Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to discuss about the settings what we need to do for Oracle SQL Developer Data Modeler while you work on the Snowflake data warehouse. So I was working on the Snowflake data warehouse, and while creating my models from logical to relational and creating the DDL from the relational data relational model, I found out a lot of settings which creates a problem for you in the DDLs what you generate. So we are going to talk about few of the settings. I may not be able to cover all of the settings as and when I am remembering the settings, I will try to record them into this particular video. So first of all, let's go into your preferences for your Oracle SQL Developer Data Modeler. In the Data Modeler section, in the physical, hold on a second. So the very first thing, right? In the physical section, you have something called as default auto increment DDL trigger and default identity DDL trigger. Triggers are not supported by Snowflake. So make sure that you set this settings to none. Otherwise, if any of your entities you have defined to create a surrogate key, which will essentially create an identifier column, and correspondingly, it will also try to create a sequence and a corresponding trigger for the same. If you have these settings on, it will create those particular DDLs, which if you in case try to deploy it to the Snowflake data warehouse, it will create some issues for you. So that's the setting number one. Moving on, we have another setting in the DDL section where it says include logging in DDL. Uncheck this box. What will happen is if you check this box, you can do a try. If you have this box checked, when you create a DDL, it generates the DDL in Oracle format and it puts the logging as a kind of keyword at the end of your create table statement. And your create table statement gives you an issue. There is another one, generate valid value constraints. Again, this constraint is not supported by the Snowflake data warehouse. So uncheck that one also. All right. Okay. This is the setting. These are some of the settings what you have to do. Then again, when you are basically creating the connection, right? Or when you want to, let's say, you have a relational model in which you have created certain tables and you want to synchronize them with your data dictionary. Currently, I have not defined the Snowflake connection over here, but in case you define the Snowflake connection over here, what you must do is this option should be unchecked. Plus, all of these particular tables, whatever you have defined, must have a schema. So I'm going to create a new schema, let's say customer. I apply it and all my objects in my table, all my objects basically should have that particular schema, should be there in that particular schema. The reason I'm telling you this, the moment you try to synchronize this data dictionary, what happens is the connection string what you provide for Snowflake, even though you provide the database name and the schema name, you can provide that into a connection string, right? You must have seen the connection string example. If you have not, I will suggest you to go to the Snowflake database or search on the Google the Snowflake JDBC URL example. So in that, they have something called as connection parameters, in which what I assumed was if you specify the database and if you specify the schema, the Snowflake connection will, the moment I connect, it will essentially connect me to that particular database and schema. It is not happening so. What it is doing is that particular connection parameters is only to validate that whether I have an access to the corresponding database and that corresponding schema. So hence, if I want to compare my my table DDL or whatever the changes I have made with the changes onto the database, I should definitely uh, yeah, I should definitely select the schemas for all of this particular table, or find out a mechanism in which you can append the schema name to all these particular tables when you are basically moving from logical to relational model. So that is the setting number two. The third thing is in the domains, when you define any kind of domain. So let me go back to the domains, right? If I go into the domains administration, if any of this you specify, let's say city you specify, do not specify units. Okay, what happens is even though you specify this particular units, the DDL does gets executed, but behind the scenes in the Snowflake, you don't see that particular thing as bytes. This is what I have observed, guys. I may be wrong, but and there may be some good method to tackle this particular issue. But what happened is, even though I have synchronized or the table structure with my database, when I created the synchronized data dictionary, it again generated those particular statements as a DDL statements. I will show you another very good example of this in the next video. So these are the settings which I wanted to walk you through as a part of this particular first series. As and when I am going to encounter some additional settings which I need to do to play with the Snowflake data warehouse and should be able to do this forward engineering and reverse engineering of a data model in a more efficient way, I will try to put them into the next video series. Thank you very much. Thanks very much everyone for watching the video. Please let me know in your comment section below if you have any questions. Also do let me know what feature would you like to understand for Oracle SDDM. Stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye bye.